Good evening. I'd like to officially call our meeting to order. I'm Donna Piha. I am the president of the synagogue for a couple more days. And I'd like to start by approving our minutes from our 2024. I did. So could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the 2024 meeting? Ruth Katz-Burstein. Craig Weinstein is seconded. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it passes. Thank you very much. All right, I would like to call on Irit Levin to give us a Devar Torah.
Oh my goodness, okay. Bright light. Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you guys so much for asking me to be here. I am often amazed at how regularly the weekly Parsha aligns with what is happening in my own life. So I smiled when I read the opening paragraph of this week's Parsha, Bamidbar, in which God tells Moshe that he should take a census of the whole Israelite community by the clans of its ancestral houses. And Moshe and Aaron took stock of where their community currently stood, counting their blessings, their skills, their numbers, in order to build together towards a brighter future. Sounds a bit like our annual meeting. We are here together to look at all that we have accomplished in the past year. We've gathered together each week for Shabbat and holiday services and morning minyan. We've quelled with pride as our children became B'nai Mitzvah on this very bima. We've danced together at weddings, joined together in song at brisses and baby namings, and embraced one another and shed tears at funerals. We're building a new building, repairing our much-needed roof repair, and teaching the next generation of HNT leaders within these very walls. But just like the Israelites during the time of the census, we too are in the wilderness. We are still struggling to understand what it means to be Jewish in a post-October 7th world. We are mourning the very recent loss of Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lashinsky, Zichrona Levracha. May their memories be for a blessing always. The fate of the remaining hostages is always on our minds as we pray for their return safely and soon, and for peace to come to Eretz Yisrael and the entire world. And even here at HNT, we are feeling a bit lost. We still deeply feel the loss of Cantor Kurland, even as we are thrilled to welcome Cantor Batchelor into our community. We are sending goodbye and well wishes to Rabbi Herber and working hard to bring a new rabbi to lead us forward. There are many ways in which the future feels uncertain, feels like we are still wandering in that desert. While the Israelites were wandering, the Levites were assigned to begin the work of building the tabernacle, each group with its own task. The duties of the Gershonites in the tent of meeting comprise the tabernacle, its tent, its covering, and the screens for the entrance. The duties of the Kohathites comprise the ark, the table, the lampstand, altars, and the sacred utensils that were used with them, and the screen. And the list continues. Each tribe had its place, each tribe had its role in the building process. So too do we each have a role in the building of our beloved HNT community. And while I'm still waiting for God to lay out specifically what we should be doing, sure it'll happen any day now, for now I'm grateful that it is all of us, who are all made B'Tselem Elohim in the divine image, who have stepped forward to take on these tasks. We will get through the Midbar, the wilderness, because our board members work tirelessly to create policies, make difficult decisions, set a balanced budget, and create a strategic plan for our future. We will get through the Midbar, the wilderness, because our staff work together as a team, ensuring the day-to-day logistics of keeping our shul running happen, because of their devotion to and love of this place and the people in it. We will get through the Midbar, the wilderness, because our FRS teachers give their whole hearts to best teach our children, instilling in them a love of Judaism and our Jewish community. And we will get through the Midbar, the wilderness, because of you, our congregants and volunteers, who give your time, energy, and financial support to keep HNT strong. It is often in the wilderness where communities are forged, dreams are envisioned, and a path for the future is set. I, for one, can't wait to see what the promised land of HNT that we create together will become. Toda rabah.
Thank you, Irit. That was lovely. I'd like to now recognize our board members who are going to be rolling off the board this year. We have 4 people who are rolling off the board this year. Rachel DeBrow-Stone has served on the board for 6 years. She's the current chair of our Legal and Governance Committee, co-chair, and she has put in countless hours on legal documents, on employee contracts, on all kinds of reviewing legal documents for our congregation to keep us financially sound and in good condition. So I don't think she's, Rachel, are you here? I don't see her. Okay. So thank you to Rachel. I have a gift for Rachel. Mickey Friedman, our immediate past president, is going to be rolling off the board after 9 years of service. He was treasurer the last time I was president, and he was obviously a past president and has done an amazing job getting us through some difficult times as well as good times in the past. So thank you, Mickey. These have, oh, this is Alan Bunin. Is Alan here? Alan Bunin has been on the board for 2 years, and he has always been such a cheerful presence in our meetings. He always comes ready with a Devar Torah that gets us thinking on the right path at the start of our meeting. So thank you, Alan. And Susan Edelheit has been on our board for, I believe, 9 years. She was also on the executive committee with me last time, with Mickey, and she helped with the re-engagement task force, and she helped set up the new Danny's Den that we've got in Kenner Curlin's old office. So she has really devoted many, many hours to Herzl-Ner to meet, and we're really grateful for Susan's service. I don't think Susan's here. Susan? Okay, thank you, everybody. Mickey Friedman is the chair of the nominating committee, who's going to give us our new slate of officers.
Second. First, we have something for you. So if you all remember a year, 15 months ago. Okay, does this work? If you recall, about 15 months ago, we were still going through many challenges and a lot of uncertainty. And one of the challenges that Elise had of running the nominating committee as immediate past president and the executive committee and the board was finding the next president. And it was very, very difficult. And then we heard about a former past president who recently retired, who had these visions of travel, spending time with the grandkids down in LA. It was all this vision. And she put all that on hiatus and said, I grew up here at HNT, I love this place, and I will be the leader for the next year. 1 year, I'll do this. And she did, and she did a tremendous job leading us through that time. So thank you, Donna, for putting your life on hold through a lot. So it was voted in 2024 nominating committee. It's actually a 2025, 26 nominating committee. I'm the chair of the members. A couple board members, Amy Hartman, Sonny Putter, and then lay people, Steve Looper, Karen Langman, Stan Alpert. Worked really hard to figure out how to get the right board for the future. And there were a lot of positions that we needed to fill. So the criteria we looked at was basically having diverse background demographics, which really reflect the makeup of what our synagogue looks like. We have a bunch of people like me, old, and then we have young people, then young families. So we really wanted to get a diverse group. Complementary professional skills. So we looked at what people did for a living and what kind of skills they had to bring in to the board. And some demonstrated commitment to HNT. It couldn't be someone who we knew about, but they were so busy with their other with their personal life that they weren't spending time at HNT. So we went through this different criteria, and we talked to a lot of people and came up, and there's some people who really wanted to but just couldn't find the time to do this, because this is a major, major commitment. It really is. And it shows a lot of love for HNT. Could you go to the next slide? So there's 3 different groups. There's the executive committee, and you're voting for everybody on the executive committee, even if they're currently in the position. So it's David Schumann as president. Oh, by the way, there were bios. We thought it was a good idea to have bios of each of the individuals so you actually know who they are. And so if you did correctly click on the bios on the voting sheet, you would have seen who these people are. 'Cause with this many people in the synagogue, sometimes it's hard to know who that person is. And you recognize their face, but not necessarily their name. Yes. And I think they're all here. David Schumann. Will Becker-Quantz, Executive VP. Gail Weiner, the current membership VP. Adam Droker, the current treasurer. And Tamar Heyman, incoming secretary. New people on the board. So there are a lot of people that we added this year or are coming up. For 2-year terms, Aaron Kiviat, who's been on the board for 4 years now, and so he's set up for the last 2 of his terms. Actually, it's hard to tell because he was actually on the executive committee for a while. Jonathan Langman, Kenneth Coldwin. And if you don't recognize Kenneth, that means you're not coming to services. Angela Rootstein, and if I mispronounce that, please correct me. Debbie Saris. For 1 year, and those are for 2-year terms. 1-year terms, Alana Hornstein, who's coming off the executive committee, but still would like to be on the board. And Salvador Orozco Villalaver. How close was that, Salvador? Yes, please. Thank you. And then also the nominating committee for next year. There'll be 4 people from the board added to this, and Don, as media past president, will be the chair. But these are the lay people, non-board members who you are voting for to be on the nominating committee. Carol Michelle, Rivka Kloff, Adam Spiro, and Jeff Packer. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce David Stiefel. David chaired our bylaws revision committee this year. So he's going to present the bylaws change.
So I'm not going to present the entire bylaws. I'll try to summarize in the next 2 or 3 hours. As you can see, for those of you that read online or saw it tonight, we've got 21 pages of bylaws. You're welcome to read them line by line, but I'm not going to go through every last detail by any means. So why did we do the bylaws, or why did we update the bylaws this year, and why now? It's been at least a dozen years since we updated the bylaws, and during that period, a lot has changed. The Washington State Nonprofit Act came into effect about 3 or 4 years ago, and we needed to comply with that. As we looked at the bylaws, they were disorganized. There were sections that were contradictory. They were repetitive, duplicative, and said the same things more than once. So the new bylaws are organized differently. They are organized more logically. They bring us up to date, and they really deal with how we operate, and particularly with digital voting and digital or virtual meetings. We now have all that incorporated in the bylaws. So just in summary, we clarified the definition of family membership. That is, 2 adults or no more than 2 adults in a household would be a family membership. We added a lot of wording about quorums and electronic voting. And so in the old current bylaws, a quorum for this meeting is 40 people. In the new bylaws, it's 10% of the members eligible to vote, so that's more than 600. But a quorum can be had through electronic means, so we can have meetings, or you don't have to be present here in the future. Let's see, who's running the slides? Oh, okay. So family memberships, meetings, board structure. We spent a lot of time dealing with the board structure under the current bylaws and the way the votes are going for this year or for this coming year. We had several committee chairs as mandatory members of the board. Some were relevant to what the board does all the time, some were less relevant. We had trouble, getting a quorum and figuring it out based on a really flexible board number. So we fixed the board at a specific number. We have 4 committee chairs as people who will be nominated in the future to be on the board. We'll know how many people we have. We know what a quorum will be. And all that takes effect in next year's elections. We've also clarified what term limits are, so if somebody goes from the board to the executive committee to being a committee chair and vice versa, or any different combinations, they can't be on the board forever. The current bylaws were unclear about who hires whom and what the board does and what the executive committee can do, so we've clarified all of that. We had just voluminous words about the officers and their duties. We've pared that back. Clarified the committee structure a little bit, and then we added words and sections about conflicts of interest, legal indemnification, prohibition of loans, and other things that really to clean it up. So that's a summary of 21 pages of bylaws. The board had 2 study sessions before we voted on these. We had a committee that worked really hard and for a long period of time, and so my colleagues were Rachel Dobro-Stone, Adam Droker, Donna Piha, and we think we've put together very viable bylaws that should serve us well for the future. So, any questions, clarifications, complaints? Please.
That's just a question. Let's see, Article 3, Section 7, subsection 3 on page 3. Indicates that a member in good standing can hold office in the congregation except that the ritual committee chair must be Jewish. So do I gather from that all other board positions, including president, the incumbent member in good standing does not have to be Jewish?
Yes, you're interpreting that correctly. That was part of last year's bylaw change. We did not make a change this year. And that was discussed extensively at the board a year ago, and the feeling was we didn't want to exclude people. And the reality is there's not a whole lot of movement towards non-Jewish board members, but it is a possibility.
We had discussed that the chair of the ritual committee, it was imperative that that person be Jewish, which was why that specific chair was called out in the bylaws.
Other comments or questions? If not, thank you for your attention, and hopefully we'll have a positive vote.
Thank you, David. Now I'd like to call our Executive Vice President for Finance, or our Vice President of Finance, Adam Droker, to discuss our budget.
All right, I know everybody's here for the most exciting part of the meeting, the budget. So I'm going to try to be brief as we go through it. Let's go to the next slide. So we're going to do a quick review of the past year, some of our successes, some of our challenges, and then we're going to talk about the 25-26 budget. We've had a lot of challenges related to security, as everybody knows. The aging building and infrastructure that we have, and over the last 10 or so years, there's been a declining population or membership at HNT. Those are a couple of our budget challenges. Some of our successes, we had a wonderful Gadol Gala. It was both a tremendous fundraiser and friendraiser. It was a great opportunity for our membership to get together, get to see each other, and hopefully we can find many more opportunities to get together. FRS is one of our biggest strengths. We have a tremendous program, great leadership, and the kids love coming to FRS. We had a great holidays. We also have some infrastructure updates. As you can all see, the wonderful new roof. Thank you to an anonymous donor for helping accomplish that. That'll reduce our costs going forward. And then we also had a grant for lighting, which has cut our electricity costs quite significantly. So if you're outside in the hallways, you'll see that it's all been updated to LED, and the grant covered 70% of this building and 100% of the cost of the lot education building. And then we also finally received the cash grant that we had applied for and were approved for some security updates. So that money, even though there were questions about, as the administration changed, if that would come in, the check did arrive, and it is now in our account. So some of our biggest success and some of our performance, the biggest thing is we projected a pretty sizable deficit last year, which we are also going to project again this year because we are very conservative when we project, and almost every year our deficit falls significantly smaller than what is initially projected. This year, we actually ended up with a slight surplus because of the grant timing. We recognize things on a cash basis. So we have actually a pretty strong cash position. Our membership, as I mentioned, is down by 13 units. So we went from 588 in last budget cycle to 575. We've gained some younger members. We've had some attrition due to people moving out of the area and other life events. FRS this year had 136 students. At the end, we were originally thinking we were going to have 131, but ended up with some new members joining FRS. So as I mentioned, the bottom number we're estimating, because the budget year doesn't end for a few more days, that we're going to end up with a surplus this year of $4,800. So now the really small print comes up, and I can read a lot of this to you. Couple of the proposed changes. We're proposing, in order to try to reduce our deficit a little bit, we're asking for a 3% increase on dues. The B'nai Mitzvah fee hasn't changed in over a decade, so we are proposing that the B'nai Mitzvah fee is going to increase from the current $1,000 to $1,500. However, to minimize the impact on families, we're going to give families the opportunity to prepay that anytime between now and January 1st of 2026, so they can lock in today's price. That'll have a couple of impacts to us. One, it'll mean that we're collecting a number of dollars early. It also hopefully helps with the buy-in in maintaining membership at HNT from some of our families, because they'll have prepaid for that. I know I have a third grader now, will be a fourth grader next year. I'm planning on doing it just because I'm going to be here. I was born and raised in the area, and I want to make sure that my third also has their B'nai Mitzvah here. The Gadol Gala next year, we're projecting a $275 gross, and you know, a lot of these items are in the budget handout. There are a lot of the bold numbers from the bottom. So, as I mentioned, we're going to save a bit on maintenance because we're not going to constantly be patching the roof, and there's a number of other small things that are reducing our operating costs because of capital projects that are being done. Just to highlight some of the costs that we do have. FRS, while there is a tuition, the cost of running our religious school is approximately $390,000 a year. I said cost, but I'm going to change that word to investment, because this is also an investment. It's investing in my kids, and it's investing in your kids or grandkids and the next generation of leaders of our synagogue. So while we look at it many times in the budget process as a cost, it's far more important. And I want to change that conversation going forward from cost to investment in our kids. Our other programs, ritual, adult education, various other programs, our goal on those is going to be a net neutral, and most years it is relatively revenue neutral. The money coming in is about the money going out. Our net program costs, after all money coming in and all money going out, it's a net of about $155,000 in expense. That's when you include all the costs of FRS, all the other programs, and all the anticipated revenue. Oh, sorry, I have a typo there. It's expected to be $25,000, not $390,000. That would have been a very expensive clergy search. I must have copied and pasted or referenced a different cell. So it is the budget for clergy search, extraordinary, one-time, $25,000 is what we're expecting for the next cycle. I'm sorry to our Rabbi Search Committee, you do not have an unlimited budget. These are some of the highlights of just basically taking the big bold things from the bottom of each large section. The budget deficit that we projected this year was going to be 162. At the end, it's going to be about a $5,000 surplus. Next year, our budget deficit, including one-time items, extraordinary items, we are asking the synagogue to pass a deficit budget of $158,000. That is the end of this section. Now I guess I hand it back to Donna so she can ask for a motion and do a vote. Or maybe I should also ask if there's any questions before I run away. All right. Yes.
What do the numbers that you had projected, does that include salary for a rabbi or not?
The numbers for the deficit do include a projected rabbi hire, because whether we hire a rabbi or if we have an interim, there is still going to be some cost for rabbinical and clergy-related costs. So unfortunately, there isn't savings by having the situation we're in right now. Those dollars are allocated, yes.
I'm just curious, Adam, on the tuition revenue for FRS. It looks like, I think we said that the enrollment has gone up, but that the budget to actual is like 50,000 under. I was just curious why.
The budget for this year,
Yeah, for 2024, 2025.
it went up from well, let me take a step back. The original budget for the 24-25 year, we'd actually projected more students. Then the number was being adjusted down to 131 students based on actual enrollment. We had a few students enroll late, which brought us to 136. So it was the negative number there was less than expected. I think I used a double negative, so if anybody else is confused, we can talk about that later. But originally, we were going to have 131 students, so the tuition revenue was going to be even less than the 233,000 collected, but then we had a few late enrollees.
Congratulations on this year, getting that little bit of surplus. But what do you do if it does turn out to be a deficit? Do you ask for cash calls? Do you have a line of credit? Or how do you pay the bills when you budget a deficit?
So our synagogue actually is in a pretty good position that we have a fairly, we have a runway of cash reserves that would allow us to run a deficit budget for the next couple of years without having to do any sort of extraordinary cash calls. That it's not a position that we would want to be in, running a deficit budget. However, with the amount of time we had to prepare this for this year, we went with a very similar structure to prior year budgeting. Going forward, there's some analysis that's being done, and you'll see more over the course of this year on what due structures we want, how we want to invest in our community, and what costs that would have associated with it. So we're trying to find new and creative ways to generate revenue, but that would also mean that we need to do a lot more studying on that. With everything we had going on this year, it just wasn't the right time to do all that additional work, unfortunately.
Thank you. Appreciate the answer. But I had another question. I didn't hear you mention, maybe I missed it, anything with Barnaby Point, how that impacts budgeting, good or bad or indifferent?
Well, for our operating budget, it wouldn't have a direct impact, other than that I know that our gala this year raised a little less than it did in the prior year, because some donors are giving large chunks of money to Barnaby Point, which will have a great impact on costs going forward and revenue going forward as Barnaby Point's rentals come online. It'll also mean that we aren't turning on the entire building every single week. We can have a more efficient building that's used for various programming. So Barnaby Point is going to have a very positive impact on our budget, but a couple years out. In the operating budget, it has almost no impact on our operating budget, because that is dues and programming as opposed to capital. I see no more hands. So now I will really give it back to Donna.
Thank you, Adam. All right. It's time to vote. So if you haven't already voted, we have a QR code you can scan. Melanie also has is your laptop available for? Okay. Is it the same? What about from the email that you sent that with the? Okay. So if you have the email in your phone, you can do a link from the email, or from here. Melanie also has a laptop here if anybody would like to use a laptop. Cora, do you know how many people have voted online so far before today?
87.
If you're still voting, please continue. I'm just going to give a quick update here. Do you want to go to the next slide? So this year has been a little bit of a year of transition. And I think of it as that this past year we have been setting the stage for growth for next year. But I wanted to start with a recap of last year first. I want to start by thanking our current staff for their amazing work this year. Rabbi Herbert, if you're here, please stand up too. Rabbi Herbert, Melanie Miller, our operations director. And thank you for planning tonight, Melanie. Ariane Slater, our finance director. Irit Levin, director of education. Jessica Slater, FRS administrator. Aviva Kraus, office and clergy administrator. And this past year, we welcomed 3 new staff members. Our new cantor, Heather Batchelor. Our new director of community engagement, Cora Miller. And our new interim executive director, Catherine Valenti. And we have a new accounting assistant named Kayla Liu, and you'll be seeing more information coming about her in the next week. We also held many, many welcoming and enriching programs this past year. I'm just going to list a few. Shabbat we had twice last summer. Scholar in Residence. Shabbat Katan, which is a new Shabbat service for those under age 5 and their adults. Sukkah Hop, Holiday Shook, education classes, many social action events, and affinity group events, spice nights, and so much more. Our Gadol Gala was a highlight of fun and support for HNT, where we raised funds to support our yearly operating budget. All of these events could not have happened without our hundreds of volunteers, literally hundreds. Please help me thanking them. And yourselves. This past year, we conducted 2 clergy searches. We were delighted that our cantor search brought us Cantor Heather Batchelor. She has brought warmth and meaning to our services and to our community. Thank you again to the Cantor Search Committee, Alana Hornstein, Kenneth Coldwin, Jonathan Langman, Gail Wiener, and Will Becker-Quantz. Although our rabbi search did not yield a new senior rabbi this year, we will be participating in the search process again next fall. Our search committee is currently searching for an interim rabbi, so stay tuned for more information this summer. Thank you to our rabbi search committee, Robbie Cape, Bonnie Cape, Miri Sipers, Zach Deutsch, Mark Gonscher, S.D. Carson Livney, Rivka Klaff, Jason Kravitz, Dean Pollack, Zichrono Livracha, Iris Schwartz, Jamie Slutsky, and David Stiefel. Also, I want to also mention what Adam already said, that we were able to secure a lovely donation from an anonymous donor that is covering new roofs for the Lot School building and the main building, and also there will be some left over for some beautifying of our sanctuary, which will be great. A big thank you also goes to our wonderful committee chairs and their members of their committees. Some of them, hopefully I have all of them here. Social Action Committee and Mitzvah Corps, both led this year by Judy Zeidman. Affinity group leaders, the membership committee led by Will Becker-Quantz and Ed Margolis, with strong support from Gail Weiner. Legal and Governance Committee, co-chaired by Rachel DeBrow-Stone and Adam Droker. The Barnaby Point Project, with many committees such as Finance, Legal, Steering Committee, and Building Committee. The Ritual Committee, led by Jamie Slutsky, and Women's League, led by Susan Med-Rubin. Have I forgotten any committees? I hope I didn't forget anybody. And the Endowment Committee, led by David Stiefel. And the FRS Committee, of course, Parent Committee, and the Cemetery Committee, led by Elaine Weinstein. I'm sorry if I forgot anybody. We do appreciate everybody. I want to give an update on, I also want to thank our entire board of directors this year for working so hard, attending meetings long into the night, and giving all your passion and your commitment to our wonderful community. If any board members, current board members are here, please stand up. Thank you, everybody. So I want to give you an update on Barnaby Point, which is probably one of the most exciting things happening in our community this year. As of April 21st, the Barnaby Point project land use application process moved forward without any neighbor appeals, which means we are on track for our groundbreaking September 14th, 2025. That's also the day we're moving back the BEMA, so hopefully we'll have lots of people here, and it should be a fun day. What we've envisioned together for years is now rapidly becoming a reality, thanks to your generosity, commitment, and remarkable community momentum. This extraordinary home for Jewish life on Mercer Island is truly within our grasp. There is a model of the new building up in the upper foyer. It's in an acrylic box, so if you want to have a chance to take a look at kind of the 3D, how the building is going to look in the upper lot, please take a look at that. We have achieved some major milestones. The city approvals. So we have zoning approval for a K through 12 school, which was secured last summer. We have a critical area review, which was smoothly completed. SEPA environmental review and conditional use permits for shared parking are progressing well. Construction documents are currently in development, and again, the groundbreaking on September 14th. In under 2 years, we have already secured an incredible $22 million in pledges, which far outpaces fundraising typical for nonprofit efforts. Today, 80% of the project funding is already pledged and payments have started. This remarkable progress reflects just how deeply invested our community is in bringing Barnaby Point to life. As far as building design, we have re-added back in an indoor gym, which will be a fully equipped gym that will provide year-round athletics, rain or shine, which will be a valuable resource for students and families alike. Educational spaces have thoughtfully been designed that will serve both dedicated JDS classrooms and spaces for HNT Religious School and HNT use on Jewish holidays, maximizing efficiency and impact. As far as the chapel, or what we're calling the multi-use space, we can't call it a chapel, Herzl-Ner Tamid is thrilled to have a thoughtfully integrated, just right-sized chapel space within the building, which will also be shared with JDS for its operations. We'll have exclusive use every Shabbat for that space. Throughout the building, there will be numerous spaces that will be shared by HNT and JDS, the Jewish Day School, and other building occupants, tenants, as well as be available for Jewish community rentals on a periodic basis. This will offer our community new spaces for holding meetings, events, and more. And these spaces, many of these spaces are HNT use spaces that rent will come to us. There's space for other Jewish organizations. The second and third floors of the building include spaces that will be rented to other Jewish organizations who can also participate in sharing other building and HNT site assets. We're already in conversations with several Jewish organizations excited to move into the building. A first-of-its-kind collaboration in our community. These spaces offer exposure to other Jewish organizations that will foster innovation and efficiency, enhancing communication, partnership, and community engagement. And I'm very excited about the collaboration potentials that we have with the Jewish Day School as well. So that is our Barnaby Point update. It's very exciting, and I have to say that Audrey Kovner and Diane Doherty have been really the powerhouses behind this. this project. Anybody who's on any Barnaby Point committee, will you please stand for a moment? Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a vote count.
We have 93 yes for executive board and 8 noes. 98 yes for board of directors and 3 noes. 99 yes for nominating committee and 2 noes. 90, Ilana, let me know if you want me to slow it down. 90, no, or I'll have to look. 92 yes for budget, 10 noes. 97 yes for bylaws and 3 noes.
Are you offended that someone voted no for the bylaws? Does anybody have any questions before we adjourn? I think the only thing left to announce. Oh, my goodness. So there was part of my announcement that one thing I was going to announce, it did not make it onto my printed paper. But one thing is we're hired Rabbi Jamie Alpert for this year for High Holidays. So she's going to be with us for 5 weeks and leading Shabbat services and doing some pastoral work with us. And it's going to be great to have her here again. We have many events planned for next year. And just as an example of one of the events we have, Counter Bachelor is working on a musical weekend in the fall, in November, I believe, and it's going to feature a, see, I had it all written down, but you should probably tell us.
President's weekend featuring a concert and as well as lectures and demos and potentially an instrumental workshop. Also featuring a Grammy-winning artist, Lawrence Glamberg of the Klezmatics. Many of the artists will be coming from Europe, from Berlin, and we're lucky enough to have them in the region. And since I knew they were going to be around, I snagged them while I could. So it should be a really great event, and I'll be sharing more information and details when I get it. And we'll be looking for help from you to keep spreading the word.
We have much to look forward to in the coming year. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and our meeting is adjourned.
inside and out. Our trusted relationships with the nation's leading carriers means you have access to coverage not always available elsewhere. And add to that a relentless claims department, and you've got a partnership you can count on no matter what. Learn more at propelininsurance.com.
Chemical grouting is the most effective and long-lasting method for sealing structurally sound sewer and stormwater systems. The Provac specialists will test your pipeline to find the leak. Then our grouting division uses chemical and cementitious techniques to grout manholes, catch basins, vaults, and other types of leaks. For localized
streak in the